So Elimination Chamber 2024 just ended, and right before I hopped on to record, I took a nice long nap because it was 5 a.m. my time, and it was pretty difficult to stay awake, to be honest. Overall, though, if I had to sum up the show in 3 words, it would be predictable, but fun. Did I actually expect for there to be a swerve with who's going to win either the men's or the women's Elimination Chamber? No, because at the end of the day, you can only make the Elimination Chamber feel so big because it falls right in the middle of the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, WWE's two biggest PLEs, and you're not going to change the title for all of these storylines that you've been building to for a year a few weeks before WrestleMania. So you're always going to have that kind of filler feel with the Elimination Chamber event itself, but I think they did a good job of just at the very least delivering a fun show where even though the outcomes were predictable, the matches took a lot of unpredictable turns and had a lot of surprising moments within them. But with that being said, let's break down all 4 matches from worst to best. In last place is going to be Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax for the Women's World title. Make no mistake about it, even though this is last place, it was a really fun, effective match for what it was. I saw this as the 2024 version of Brock Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania 39. It's just that classic David versus Goliath story, big monster versus bigger monster, and again, for what it was, I thought it was extremely effective and is probably Nia Jax's best match. Granted, that's not saying a lot, but I think Nia Jax has done terrific work since she's come back to the WWE. I love her character. I love the work she's doing, and she did a lot of moves during this match that I wouldn't normally expect her to pull off, but she did with flying colors. Rhea was obviously the hometown hero and got that hometown welcome. The Australian crowd was really into her. Apparently, this was the first women's main event since WrestleMania 37, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks, and to me, that was really disappointing to hear. Honestly, like, the women haven't main evented a PLE since WrestleMania 37? We're almost at WrestleMania 40, and the women's division is constantly killing it every chance they get, so to hear that this was the first main event in X amount of years was pretty disappointing, honestly. If anything, though, it showed that Rhea Ripley was a main event star. She was supposed to main event WrestleMania 39 prior to the Sami Zayn KO versus the Bloodline story really taking off to where everyone, including WWE brass, realized, yeah, this is the hotter story, this needs to main event. So after her showing here, fingers crossed that her and Becky Lynch main event WrestleMania Night 1. Again, though, there's not much to really say about this match. I thought it was really fun, really solid, although I never once believed that Rhea Ripley was in any real danger of losing the title, and I also don't see myself going back to revisit this match. Still, though, super enjoyable. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5. In third place is going to be Judgment Day's Damian Priest and Finn Balor versus New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate for the undisputed tag team titles. Going into this match, I did not give a shit about it whatsoever because Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are a very new tag team. They are not necessarily over with the crowd. They just kind of seemed like lukewarm. And also, we knew Judgment Day wasn't losing because we were so close to WrestleMania. Why would they hold the titles this long just to lose it to this completely new tag team when the Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth story is building in the background? So yeah, from an emotional standpoint, from a story standpoint, I didn't care. You could have argued that this was a bathroom break match, but from an in-ring standpoint, this was an absolute blast. It was entertaining, it was fast-paced, it was full of unique moves, and if for nothing else, it was a massive showcase for Tyler Bate. He was easily the MVP of this match, and I love how Michael Cole kept calling him the Big Strong Boy. I love that nickname, it was hilarious. Again, though, there's not really much to say about this match at all, except it was awesome from an in-ring standpoint, and I could see myself going back to re-watch this multiple times, and at the very least watching like the highlights on YouTube because it was really entertaining. But from an emotional standpoint, I just did not connect with the match because I couldn't connect with the New Catch Republic because they are so new. Do I wish another tag team like DIY potentially got this spot instead of New Catch Republic? Because Even though DIY isn't necessarily over with the crowd, they've been putting in more work for a longer period of time, so maybe that would have resulted in more emotional stakes, like, hey, DIY and Judgment Day have been feuding for a little bit, maybe DIY takes it off of them. But once New Catch Republic beat DIY, you knew Judgment Day was retaining. Still though, this was an awesome banger of a match. I'm going to go 4 out of 5. Number 2 is going to be the men's Elimination Chamber match, and again, another predictable outcome with Drew McIntyre winning. I think one of the reasons we knew Drew was going to win was because he was the only person in the match that was a part of the Raw roster, and therefore was the only one that had an ongoing storyline with Seth Rollins. Sure, Logan Paul and Randy Orton had history with Seth Rollins, but certainly not an active story that WWE was building. However, what I will say is that this match, more so than any other match on the card, did the best at making us think we were going to get a swerve. There were a lot of moments in this match, especially towards the end, where you thought, is Randy Orton going to win this match? Is Logan Paul going to win this match? Is LA Knight going to win this match? And in the back of your head, you're saying, no, Drew is obviously going to win this match. But in the moment, the match did a really good job at making us doubt ourselves. Another thing that this match did so well was selling us on the fact that the Elimination Chamber was a brutal structure. How many times did it cut to a wide shot and it was most or all of the competitors just on the ground completely gassed? It really felt like all 6 of these guys were going through hell in this match. Bobby Lashley was dealing with the elbow injury angle from Karrion Kross this past SmackDown. Logan Paul was basically on the defense the entire match, getting his head bashed into the chamber pod walls, getting run through a chamber. And biggest of all, Randy Orton was working the fuck out of everyone in the audience and everyone watching at home by selling the back injury. There were so many moments watching where Randy was just immobile, lying on the mat, where I thought, oh God, is he actually injured? Did he actually just end his in-ring career because of a bad bump? This match really showed us that Randy Orton is a fucking professional. He knows how this business works. He knows how ring psychology works. And in my opinion, he was the MVP of the match for that reason. Every time he took a bump, every time he did a move of his own, I was kind of cringing in my seat, like, oh God, no, don't do that. Another MVP of this match, Logan Paul. And I'm going to say something right now. It might get a lot of pushback, but I don't care because it's how I feel. Logan Paul is one of the best wrestlers working today. Period. As a heel, he has Dominic Mysterio levels of heat, where the crowd is just booing the crap out of him. He has the crowd in the palm of his hand wherever he goes. From a mic standpoint, he is awesome. He cuts a lot of super effective promos in the ring, where he feels like he's been doing this for years, and he even cuts a lot of fun backstage segments that are hilarious. And then from an in-ring standpoint, he is so goddamn entertaining to watch. Not just the moves, not just the fact that he can do a flip and he can take a bump, but his ring psychology is there. He knows how to sell a move. He knows how to sell a moment. He knows just how long to let a moment linger for. He knows how to work the crowd. Is he at the Randy Orton level of ring psychology? No. But if you were going to ask me, hey, who are your 5 favorite wrestlers in the men's division working today? Logan Paul is easily in that top 5. It was interesting that we didn't set up Logan versus LA Knight in this match. We ended up setting up LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and then Logan versus Randy Orton, and then Drew versus Seth at Mania. Bobby Lashley, I'm assuming, will be in some type of a multi-man match against the Final Testament. Kevin Owens, at the moment, still up in the air. Logan versus Randy wasn't something that was on my WrestleMania bingo card. I actually thought we were going to get Logan versus LA Knight, but I gotta tell you, Logan versus Randy is a much more exciting match for me. From a promo standpoint, from an in-ring standpoint, that is a match I really want to see. As far as LA Knight versus AJ Styles goes, I don't really think that's a WrestleMania-worthy match. I think that's a match that could main event an episode of SmackDown, or main event, another PLE, or even it probably could have just been a part of Elimination Chamber to add another match to the card, and then you throw in somebody else into the chamber like Ivar or something like that. Because seeing LA Knight versus AJ Styles just in a grudge match at WrestleMania, I don't know, that doesn't particularly excite me. Let me know what you all think in the comments about that match. I would rather have seen LA Knight fight for a title because this AJ heel turn hasn't really worked for me. Their feud is really just based off of you took my moment, I took your moment. It's just the story's not really interesting. I don't particularly care about that match. But Logan versus Randy, hell yeah, definitely want to see it. And at the end of the day, Drew won, but the way we got there was really entertaining and unexpected. I'm going to give the men's chamber match a 4.25 out of 5. And number 1 is going to be the women's elimination chamber match. And I just want to start off by saying this. The women's division deserves a lot more respect than they get because they have been on fire for years. Whenever a major PLE comes around, whatever the marquee women's match is on that PLE ends up stealing the show. And I'm not just talking about singles matches like Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania 39, or Becky versus Trish at Payback, or Becky versus Tiffany at No Mercy, or Bianca versus Io at Backlash. But even looking at the multi-man matches, the women's War Games match I think was better than the men's. The women's Royal Rumble was definitely better than the men's. And now the women's Elimination Chamber was better than the men's. Just want to say that I think the women's division is fucking incredible. And this match from an in-ring standpoint, easily my favorite match of the night. Was it expected with Becky Lynch winning? Absolutely. But there were some crazy moves in this thing, namely from Liv Morgan and the MVP of arguably the entire PLE, Tiffany Stratton. If you were to tell me that the Australian crowd would get behind heel Tiffany Stratton, who just debuted on the main roster a few weeks ago, I would not have believed you, but they did. Tiffany Stratton stole the show. She was incredible. She deserves a marquee match at WrestleMania. I was a little surprised we didn't start setting up a feud between either her and Bianca Belair or her and Liv Morgan, for WrestleMania. I guess you could set up her versus Naomi because she pinned Naomi. You can maybe set up her versus Liv because Liv pinned her. If you're asking me, now that Becky and Rhea is basically confirmed, I would do Bianca versus Tiffany because honestly, that could be the match of WrestleMania 40. And you would be doing so much at once. You'd be keeping Bianca's undefeated winning streak at WrestleMania alive. You'd be giving Tiffany this massive stage to showcase her skills. You'd be building a new heel to take you into 2024. And you would be delivering one of the best matches I think we could possibly get right now from an in-ring standpoint. I will say, though, from a storytelling perspective, I do think the men's chamber match was better than this chamber match. I think the storytelling that was done with Randy Orton and his back injury, and like I said earlier, the way that they sold the Elimination Chamber as this brutal, unforgiving structure, I think that was better in the men's match. But from a pure entertainment standpoint, something I'm going to go back and rewatch from start to finish, I think this was the best match of the card. I'm going to give the women's chamber match a 4.25 out of 5. I don't think it was leaps and bounds better than the men's chamber match. I think they were both around the same level, but I am going to give this one the edge. Also, if we're ranking the Grayson Waller segment, sorry, I'm going 2.5 or maybe even 2 out of 5. I thought that was an absolute waste of time. All you learned was that Seth Rollins was good for WrestleMania. He was healthy again. That's great to hear. Awesome. Could have just been a tweet. And you learned that Cody wanted to fight The Rock and Seth would help him do so, which we already learned on an episode of Raw recently. So that was a nothing burger. The fact that we didn't get Roman, Rock, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy, we didn't get any of that. That was weird. And we also didn't find out what Roman told Grayson Waller. I assume it was give them a hard time because I don't like them, I guess. That was a dumb segment. Kind of brought down the middle of the show for me. Did not like it at all. I'll go 2 out of 5. It was lame. Overall, I'm going to rate the event itself on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm going to give Elimination Chamber 2024 a 3.75 out of 5. Really just because of the 2 chamber matches being so effing awesome. All right, there's my breakdown of the Elimination Chamber. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. And who do you think was the MVP of the night? For me, it's Tiffany Stratton. I think a star was made in that match. Okay, see you next time. Bye-bye.